Vyasam vasishtadaptaram shakte pautramakalmasham Parasharatmajam mande shukhathatam taponidhim Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo vai brahmanidhaye vasishtaya namo namaha Avikaraya shuddhaya nityaya paramatmane Sadaika rupa rupaya Vishnave Sadvishnave. A sixer. The moment we say a sixer, what else can come to our minds? Especially the minds of Indians, and more so in an IPL season. Cricket. The moment we say sixer, it's only cricket that comes to our mind. The interesting thing about cricket is that one should know the game to appreciate the game. If somebody doesn't know the game, imagine somebody who doesn't know cricket. He comes to you and you say, he bowled a maiden over. He bowled a maiden over. He may think that person is a flirt. To appreciate cricket, one must know the game. Only then, a silly point is not a ridiculous comment. Only then, a helicopter is not a mode of transport. To appreciate cricket, one must know the rules of the game. Only then, a tall man can be a short mid-wicket. A leg break is not an injury, and a square cut will not result in bleeding. It's a funny game. It's a funny game where, without understanding the rules of the game, we can neither play the game nor appreciate the game. Life is also like it. Without understanding the rules of the game called life, we can neither appreciate the game called life, nor can we enjoy and celebrate the game called life. Unlike cricket, life too is a game of glorious uncertainties. In order to not only play this game, every game is played to win. In order to play and win the game of life, we need to necessarily understand, learn, and apply the rules of the game. But interestingly, the only game where we start playing the game without knowing the rules of the game is life. Every other game, including cricket, one starts to play the game after knowing the rules of the game. If not in entirety, at least the basic rules. But then, it's so fascinating to reflect on this game of life that most of the time people play this game without knowing its rules. So therefore, the game of life needs to be played, needs to be celebrated by understanding the rules of the game. Bhishma Sixer is the title given for today's discourse. Sixer in cricket is a sheer delight, isn't it? Yes. The moment anyone hits a sixer, it's a sheer delight to watch. It's a time to celebrate. But then, in cricket, a sixer by a batsman does not guarantee that the playing team goes home, wins. But let me assure you, Bhishma's sixer guarantees victory. Victory in life. Possibly, in the history of humankind, it is this sixer, Bhishma's sixer, which is so very profound. It is this sixer which alone guarantees ultimate victory. Janma samsara bandhana vimuchyate. Vimukti from samsara bandhana, the ultimate victory in life. It is Bhishma's sixer that guarantees this ultimate victory. Now, what is this Bhishma's sixer? I'm sure most of you would have already guessed. Vishnusahasranamam is so very popular that most of us chant this almost on a daily basis. If not, at least listen to that blessed soul, that nectarine voice of Amma. We should all thank her for the treasure she has bequeathed to us. A treasure that will stand the test of time. Whether we know chanting or not, I am sure we have all been mesmerized by that nectarine voice. So therefore, Bhishma's sixer is something which we all know. But then what we are going to do is reflect on what we already know. Because in life, there is nothing to be invented. There is nothing to be invented. There is only lots and lots to be discovered. There is no new wisdom that we need to go about inventing. No, we all think that to succeed in life, we need to invent something. We don't need to invent anything. Everything that we need for successful life and living is already given to us. It's just that we need to discover. So Bhishma's sixer is nothing but the glorious answers that Bhishma provides to Yudhistira's 6 questions. 6 profound answers to 6 profound questions. Shuttva dharman aseshena pavanani cha sarvashaha Yudhistira shantanarvam punarevabhya bhashyata. Mahabharata is a Dharma Shastra. It is celebrated as Panchamo Veda. Sometimes we wonder, why is Mahabharata celebrated as Panchamo Veda? Given the same status, the exalted status of the Vedas. Whereas all that we know of Mahabharata is the war between 2 families. Mahabharata is Dharma Shastra. No, there are 2 gems that have been culled out of Mahabharata and that have been provided to us. One spoken by Bhagavan himself, the Bhagavad Gita, which is not very easy to understand. Now, when Bhagavan speaks, obviously he speaks from an exalted state. So we need several commentaries of all the acharyas to understand a tiny bit of Bhagavan's discourse. And the other gem is a Bhagavata's discourse, Bhishmacharyas. So 2 gems of Vishnusahasranamam and Bhagavad Gita. Now in the 12th parva of the Mahabharata, which happens to be the most exhaustive parva, the largest of the parvas, 365 chapters. Shanti parva. Out of the 18 parvas, 2 parvas are very, very important when it comes to Bhishma and Bhishma's contribution to Sanatana Dharma. Shanti parva, Anushasana parva, 12 and 13. It is in Shanti Parva that Bhishma engages in an exhaustive discourse on what is Dharma. The Pandavas have won the war. Earlier, Before the beginning of the war, Arjuna is in a state of confusion. The Pandava brothers seem to have one thing in common. Obviously, one thing in common is they are all close to Krishna and they are all blessed by Krishna. But apart from that, there seems to be one more thing in common. Before the war, Arjuna was in confusion. Arjuna was dejected. After the war, Yudhistira is in confusion. Yudhistira is dejected. Seems to be, both the brothers seem to have something in common. Only that the war seems to have separated them out. Now, before the war, Arjuna's confusion was clarified, cleared by Krishna through Gita. It is through Gita, Arjuna is helped to move from a state of confusion to a state of clarity, to move from a state of delusion to a state of devotion. So Gita empowered Arjuna to engage in the war, to do his duty, to do his dharma. After the war, Pandavas have won the war comprehensively with the help of Krishna. But then Yudhishthira is dejected, witnessing the scale of destruction, devastation that had ensued because of the war, the loss of lives, unimaginable scale of devastation. Yudhishthira, who is set to take over the kingdom and rule, is now confused. He asks almost the same question which Arjuna asks before. Is it all really worth it? What is the point in ruling a kingdom after losing so many lives? Have I done the right thing? Am I the right king? Self-doubt, confusion. Krishna says, I did all this for these Pandavas, and then once again they go back to square one. After all the struggle, then Krishna goes to Yudhishthira and asks him, what is plaguing you, Yudhishthira? Yudhishthira says, I'm not sure what my dharma is now. So Krishna says, I spent so much time teaching dharma to Arjuna, and after all this, I have no patience to do it once more. So therefore, let me direct you to someone who will do a better job than me. Bhagavan does so many things. He takes all his avatars, and through his avatars, through his cheshtitas, he tries to teach us so many things. But unfortunately, all we do is only question him. Avajananti mam mudaha manushim parumashritam parambhava vajanantaha mama bhuta maheshwaram. Krishna himself says, hey Arjuna, avajananti mam mudaha manushim parumashritam. I take the pains of coming down, descending, assuming various forms, and through my avatars, I try to demonstrate so many good things. But all these human beings do is just only question me. They don't seem to understand my cheshtitas. So therefore, he ends up sending various acharyas, various masters, who then translate Bhagavan's message and teach so that people can understand. So Krishna now clearly knows attempting one more Gita is of not going to be any use. So therefore, he says, hey Yudhishthira, Bhishma Pitamaha is actually waiting for this very moment. Bhishma is on a bed of arrows. Imagine, visualize that scenario. That noble soul, Bhishma, who had the boon of Ichha Mrityu. He is waiting after the war. He is waiting, experiencing excruciating pain. It is not easy to lie down on a bed of arrows. Krishna says, hey Yudhishthira, Bhishma is waiting, and with him we will lose the treasury of wisdom. Please go to him, approach him. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. In order to acquire wisdom, one must approach a master and prostrate and seek, inquire. Do not miss this opportunity. Hey Yudhishthira, approach Bhishma and ask him all the questions. all the doubts that are plaguing you will be clearly sorted out. Bhishma is a fountain of wisdom. He will give you the very essence of Shastras. Yudhishthira, along with all the Pandavas, then approach Bhishma. What a glorious sight on Kurukshetra. Bhishmacharya is on the bed of arrows. The Pandavas approach him. All the rishis assemble there because they all know that Bhishma is going to share the very essence of all Shastras in a simplified manner. And then Krishna is also there, silently witnessing with his magnetic smile. Krishna blesses Bhishma, and Bhishma's pain comes to an end. Bhishma is now able to transcend his pain, and he is now able to engage in a discourse with Yudhishthira, and he gives him transcendental knowledge. That conversation is one of the possibly the most important conversations in humankind. A seeker and a master having a detailed conversation about every facet of life and living. These two parvas of Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, Anushasana Parva, talks about a way of life and living. Raja Dharma, Apad Dharma, Stri Dharma, Moksha Dharma, Dana Dharma. All kinds of dharma are discussed. Every question that Yudhishthira has in terms of how to be a righteous ruler is addressed. Every question on the role of a ruler, the role of a citizen, the role of a human being, life and living, the purpose of life, pravritti, nivritti, nishreyasa, abhyudaya, all kinds of topics. Bhishma pours out. The compassionate Bhishmacharya pours out knowledge, quintessential wisdom to Yudhishthira. And then, after listening to all of this is the incident. Mahabharata is being recounted by Vaishampayana. It's a conversation within conversations. Shrutva dharman aseshena. Dharman aseshena. Shrutvan, after listening to several kinds of dharma, Raja Dharma, Apad Dharma, Dana Dharma, Stri Dharma, Moksha Dharma, listening to all kinds of dharma, Shrutva, Dharman, Aseshena, Pavanani cha sarvasa. Yudhishthira is already purified. Yudhistira Shantanamam. Shantanu's son Bhishma approaches Bhishma once again. Punarevapya bhashata. Hey Bhishma, after listening to all that you have now explained to me, I still like to learn one final thing. I have one final set of questions for you, so that all my doubts are completely clarified, so that clarity dawns upon me. Yudhishthira submits to Bhishma. And then Bhishma knows that he has been waiting for this very moment. Possibly Bhishma had in mind, why did you take me through the pains of 365 chapters of dharma? You could have even asked this right at the beginning. You asked all kinds of questions. Bhishma looks at Yudhishthira and says, please go on. This is the very moment I've been waiting for. Kimekam daivatam loke kimbapekam parayanam stuvantakha kabachantaha prapnyurmanavashubham odharmas sarvadharmanam bhavataha paramomataha kim japan muchyate jantu jana samsara bandhanat. This is Yudhishthira's sixer. Yudhishthira comes up with 6 important questions. Now, questioning is also an art. Not easy. Because if we need to solicit wisdom from someone, we also need to ask the right questions at the right time. We have always seen that in all our Shastras, wisdom comes out as an outcome of a glorious samvada. In all our Shastras, be it Itihasas, Puranas, Upanishads, we see this glorious samvada happening. So therefore the Sishya is asking the right questions and the Guru is answering, giving the profound answers. Kimekam daivatam loke, question number 1. Kim vapyekam parayanam, question number 2. Stuvantah, kam. Stuvantah, question number 3. Kamarchantaha, question number 4. Prapniyurmanava shubham is for both 3 and 4. Stuvantah kam kamarchantaha prapniyurmanava shubham. Kodharmas sarvadharmanam bhavataha paramomataha, question number 5. Kim japan muchyate jantu jana samsara bandhana, question number 6. Now, before we go to the answers, we must first understand the questions. Sometimes what also happens is, when two Mahatmas meet, they will have a brilliant conversation. We passers-by will not understand what's going on. We will neither understand the questions nor the answers. Because the two Mahatmas are speaking from an exalted position. Luckily, we have great acharyas who have taken the pains of unraveling the mysteries for us. Now, before we dive into Bhishma's sixer, we must first understand Yudhistira's sixer. Otherwise, Yudhistira's sixer becomes a bouncer to us. What are the 6 questions? What is Yudhistira trying to ask? Yudhistira is basically trying to ask, what are Tattva, Hita, Purusartha? Tattva, Hita, Purusarthas. All our Shastras go on to only explain to us these 3 principles that govern life and living. Tattva. What is Tattva? Tattva means truth. Tattva means reality. Tattva is the real entity. I need to know what is my nature. I need to know what is Bhagavan's nature. I need to know what is this nature of this world. That is Tattva. The nature of real entities. Purusartha, on the other hand, is destination, goal. Now, I need to know my nature. I need to know the nature of this world. I need to know the nature of Bhagavan. I also need to know the nature of the goal of life and living. What is this purpose of life and living? That is Purusartha. Now, Hita. What is good for me? What is right for me? What is the means to achieve the goal? Hita is the means to achieve the goal. Sadhana, upaya. These are all the synonyms for Hita. Sadhana means that which is to be followed, the path that needs to be taken to reach the destination. Upaya, the means to the goal. So therefore, Yudhishthira's 6 questions primarily are covering these 3 principles. Tattva, Hita, Purusartha. Now, 3 principles, 6 questions. Now, how come 3 principles and 6 questions? Why not 3 principles and 3 questions? Because Yudhishthira also knows that Tattva is only one. Purusartha is only one. Tattva, reality, is only one. Purusartha, the goal, is only one. But Hita, the means, can be many. There can be different ways to reach the goal. The sadhana to be adopted can vary. So therefore, what Yudhishthira has done, 1 question for Tattva, to know Tattva, 1 question to know Purusartha, 4 questions to know Hita, sadhana. Now, the 4 questions for sadhana, as asked by Yudhishthira, can be understood in a little bit more detail. When we talk about upaya, sadhana, hita, upaya can be classified primarily into 2 categories. 2 categories. Siddhopaya, sadhanopaya. Siddhopaya, Sadhanopaya. What is Siddhopaya? What is Sadhanopaya? Sadhana means where I put in effort. Upaya is means Sadhanopaya, where I put effort. If I have to put effort to achieve something, that is Sadhanopaya or Sadhyopaya. On the other hand, Siddhopaya is to achieve something without my effort. Easy to understand this very easily. I need to come up to this 8th floor for the discourse, for the satsanga. Now, all of you have taken a lift. No effort. Siddhopaya. Lift is your effort. Possibly some did not go to the gym this morning. They said, okay, let me take the stairs. You also came inside the hall, maybe a little bit panting and sweating. Put a lot of effort, climbing 8 stairs. But the goal is the same. The destination is the same, but 2 means Siddhopaya, Sadhanopaya. Siddhopaya is the lift. Sadhanopaya is your effort to climb the stairs. Now, when it comes to Siddhopaya for moksha, for liberation, for ultimate victory in life, who is that Siddhopaya? What is that Siddhopaya? Bhagavan himself. Bhagavan is Siddhopaya. Why he is Siddhopaya? He is ever existent. Even before I start my sadhana, he is always there. Ever existence, eternal. Siddha. Siddha means in Sanskrit, ever existing, always there. Sadhana will only start with my effort. It is not there today, I will start my effort from tomorrow. So Sadhanopaya is not there today, but it will start tomorrow. Siddhopaya was there yesterday, is there today, will be there tomorrow. Always waiting for us. Bhagavan is Siddhopaya, everything else is Sadhanopaya. Now, we have to become a little bit technical here to understand Yudhistira a little bit more. No, Yudhistira is a master of Shastra. So the way he asks questions, if we spend a little bit detail, we can see how intricate his questions are. Now he takes Siddhopaya and he breaks it further into 2. Further into 2, Siddhopaya. Laghu Upaya Sadhya Siddhopaya, Alaghu Upaya Sadhya Siddhopaya. These are Sanskrit terms. Once we understand, becomes very easy. Laghu means easy. Laghu Upaya, easy Upaya. Something which is achieved easily, and with that we ensure Siddhopaya. Now we will have this question. Siddhopaya, there is no effort, but then why we need to do something for Bhagavan to be our Upaya? Bhagavan is already there as a Upaya. Do we need to do anything at all is the question we will ask. The only thing that we need to do is to please him. Bhagavan is already there. He is Siddha. He is ever willing to be our Upaya. He is the vehicle, he is the path, he is the end. But in order to invoke his blessings, invoke his grace, there is something little we need to do. There is sunlight here, already there. Now, if I close this window and say, where is the sunlight? Sunlight is already there. Now, what is that little thing that I need to do to let sunlight inside? A little effort of opening the screen. Similarly, the only thing that we need to do is to please Bhagavan through our actions. Whatever we do, Bhagavat Mukhollasa, pleasing Bhagavan, because everything that we do is for his sake. Now one may ask, so Bhagavan is very partial. He is expecting us to only please him. Otherwise, he is against those, he is against some and he is for some. He is being very partial, we will say. Definitely not. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshyosti priyaha. Krishna declares. Hey Arjuna, samoham sarvabhuteshu. Tattva, he says, Everyone is equal to me, hey Krishna. Tadveshyosti name priyaha. There is nobody who is an object of aversion or affection, he says. Everybody is equal to me. Bhagavan does not discriminate anybody, which is true. But Krishna also then adds something very important. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maiteteshu chapyaham. Hey Arjuna, everybody is equal and I treat everybody equally. But at the same time, you must understand, Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maiteteshu chapyaham. When somebody offers himself to me, I also offer myself to him. What we need to understand is Bhagavan is not an abstract entity. Is not some intellectual principle out there. He is not somebody who is neutral or partial. He is reciprocal. He is reciprocal. That is the reason why we need, when we say we connect with him, we are building that loving relationship with him. When somebody loves him, he reciprocates by showering love. When somebody doesn't love him, he also reciprocates by not intervening, leaving them alone. When somebody doesn't love him, no. Often we have this question, see, atheists, they don't believe in Bhagavan, they don't love him, but still they seem to be having a good time out there. They're having a good time subject to the law of karma. If somebody doesn't love him, Bhagavan reciprocates without intervening in the law of karma. He lets the law of karma take its own course. On the other hand, when somebody loves him, shows genuine love, sincere bhakti, Bhagavan intervenes. He showers love. And in that process, he intervenes to take care and protect. So therefore, is Krishna, when he says, hey Arjuna, I am partial towards my bhakta. He says, Etu bhajanti mam bhakta, maite tashu teshu chapyaham. Is Krishna partial to his bhaktas? Answer is yes. Is Krishna impartial? Is the answer to yes. He is partial, he is impartially partial. How is he impartially partial? Because he lets the door of partiality open to all. To him, he doesn't discriminate. Anybody who wants to love him are open. He throws open the door to everybody. The door of partiality is open. Anybody who want to love him, the door is open. The moment they enter that door and start to love him, he showers his love and he takes care of them. So therefore, he is impartially partial. So, he is Siddhopaya, but in order to invoke his grace, there is something we need to do. This is where Yudhistira is asking. There are two sadhanas. Laghu upaya sadhyopaya. Very easily. How can I easily please Bhagavan? Alaghu upaya sadhya siddhopaya. What is the means which is slightly difficult? When we see the answers, it will become even more clear that what is that easy means, what is that difficult means. So therefore, one question on Tattva. What is that question? Kimekam Devatam Loke. Who is that supreme being? Because Yudhishthira also knows that, this is one of the things that are often, asked. Oh, in Sanatana Dharma, there seems to be thousands of deities, so many gods. There are not so many gods, there are so many devatas, there is one supreme being. There's only one God. The very word God is not Indic. We call that one supreme being as Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So therefore, when we see the definitions, then we understand who is that supreme being. So, Kimekam Devatam Loke. Who is that one supreme being, a Bhishma? Question on Tattva. So, question number 1, if you're taking notes, you can mark. Question 1, question on Tattva. Kimva Ekam Parayanam. Question number 2. Ayanam Parayanam. Ayanam means goal. Parayanam, supreme goal. What is the supreme goal? Sometimes we too wonder, what is that supreme goal in life? What is the very purpose of my life? It looks like I have hundreds of goals, too many goals. Now, is there one goal? Is there one goal which I can consider as the ultimate goal? Parayanam. This is what Yudhistira is asking. Hey Bhishma, kimva pyekam parayanam. Question on Purusartha. Question on Tattva Q1. Q2 is question on Purusartha. Kimekam devatam loke kimva pyekam parayanam. Stuvantah kam. This is the third question. Stuvantah, by invoking whom? Prapnurmanavashubham. Will I get everlasting prosperity? Prapnurmanavashubham. Not just prosperity, everlasting prosperity. Which means not material prosperity, spiritual prosperity. Because material prosperity does not last. Yudhistira wants to know what is that everlasting prosperity that can be experienced. What is that everlasting happiness that can be experienced? Stuvantah, by invoking whom? Whom should I resort? If I need everlasting happiness, if I need everlasting prosperity, Stuvantah, whom should I resort to? Whose praises I should sing? Who should I call out? This is the third question. Stuvantah, Prapnurmanavashubham. Kamarchantaha. Question number 4. Kamarchantaha. Archana. Whom should I worship? Prapnurmanavashubham. For everlasting prosperity. So, question number 3, question number 4 are Laghu upaya sadhya siddhopaya, Alaghu upaya sadhya siddhopaya. Fifth question. Ko dharma sarvadharmanam bhavataha paramomataha. Kim japan muchyate jantuhu janma samsara bandhana. This is sadhyopaya. Question on the means where I put in effort. Ko dharma sarvadharmanam. Dharma simply translated means duty. What is that supreme duty of mine? Bhavataha paramomataha. Hey Bhishma, you have talked to me about all kinds of dharma, but I want to know that one supreme duty. What is the duty of my life? What is that I should do in this life? Paramomata, supreme due, according to your considered view, hey Bhishma. So this is on sadhyopaya. Kim japan muchyate jantuhu janma samsara bandhana. Sixth question. This is also upaya, hita, which is called salambanopaya. Salambana means support. Kim japan muchyate jantuhu janma samsara bandhana. Janma samsara bandhana. Samsara bandhana, karma bandhana, bondage, samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is a trap of repeated, the cycle of repeated life's births and deaths. Janma samsara bandhana. What is the way to get liberated from this trap of samsara? Kim japan muchyate jantuhu. Yudhishthira has heard. Japa is considered to be one of the means for mukti as per Shastras. Kim japan muchyate jantuhu. I know I have to do japa, but on who? Who should be the subject of my japa? What should be the object of my japa? Now, why it is salambanopaya? Because salambana means something we take support. In japa, we need support. Now, what is japa? It is important to understand this. Japa is simply put is repetition. It is a repetition, a silent repetition. Japa is a silent repetition of a nama or a mantra. Now, when a nama or a mantra is silently repeated, that repetition awakens the power of the nama, awakens the power of the mantra. Now, japa slowly progresses and matures into dhyana, deeper meditation. It is dhyana where the mind becomes still, the mind becomes calm, and then one can focus on the glorious form of Bhagavan through his name, because the Nama captures the form and the attributes of Bhagavan. Guna and Rupa are captured by the Nama. So therefore, Japa, silent repetition of a Nama, eventually progresses to become Dhyana. Atachittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mahistiram abhyasa yogena tataha mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Krishna says, hey Arjuna, you have to do Dhyana. But Dhyana is not easy because your mind is like a monkey. It is not easy to bring the mind to focus on me, hey Arjuna. So therefore, abhyasa yogena tataha. Start with Japa. It seems there was this man, poor man, who approached the sage. And the sage was well pleased with this man's service. And the sage said, I'm going to give you a gift. He gave him a magic lamp. And he said, you know what? When you rub this magic lamp, out will come a genie. And it will grant all your wishes. But let me tell you, this genie is hyperactive. Now, once it comes out, you need to ensure that you keep it occupied all the time. It needs to keep working all the time. Otherwise, it's going to take everything back that it gives you, more than what it has given you. So be careful. The man is very happy. I know how to deal with it. He gets the gift, goes back home. And with the magic lamp, he goes home, and then he rubs the magic lamp. And then, lo and behold, the genie comes out and says, Master, what do you command? The man says, I command that you prepare 100-course meal to me. 100-course sumptuous meal instantaneously comes in front of him. The man is thrilled. He is about to engage in tasting the 100-course meal. But the genie is a hyperactive genie. Before the man could even taste the sweet, the genie says, hey master, please command me, what should I do? Now the man knows he has to give something to the genie, otherwise he's going to take back the meal. He says, he looks around and he says, okay, you know what? Build a massive castle worthy of an emperor. And he thinks it's going to take days and months and he can easily enjoy his meal. Before he could even taste the sweet, the genie is already built a magnificent castle, and the man finds himself in the castle with magnificent, breathtaking views. And the man has a 100-course meal. He is sitting in a palace, but he is neither able to enjoy the meal nor the surroundings, and he is worried. Now he knows he has to keep the genie occupied. He keeps asking for something, instantaneously the genie keeps producing everything that he is asking. He is neither able to enjoy what he has get, nor he is able to give a new list. The man is in perplexed what to do. Now he thinks of the sage. The sage comes in front of him and says, let me tell you what to do. Now the genie once again says, Master, what should I do? Command me. The man, based on the sage's instruction, he says, you know what, genie? Now build a long pole, stick it to the ground. The genie goes, brings a long pole, sticks it to the ground. Master, what should I do? I command you, go up and down, go up and down, go up and down. The genie keeps going up, the genie keeps going down, up, down, fully occupied. The man is enjoying his meal and enjoying the breathtaking surroundings. The mind is like a genie. It needs to be trained to be occupied constructively. Abhyasa yogena tataha mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Japa is a way of employing the mind constructively. No, the mind can only work in two modes. Constructive mode and destructive mode. Either we employ it constructively or it will do ample destruction for us. For destruction we don't need to command it. For construction we need to command it. So therefore, Japa is a way of constructively employing the mind by silently repeating the Nama. No, this repetition of Bhagavan Nama is so very significant, so very profound. Repetition is nothing but repetition. Repetition is nothing but repetition. Through repetition we are petitioning Bhagavan. Hey Bhagavan, please shower your grace. Fill my heart with love for you. Because when He fills our heart with love, only then purification happens. Repetition progresses to purification. Purification progresses to revelation. So this is the beauty of doing Japa. We are silently repeating Bhagavan Nama. repetition results in purification. There is also one other thing that is happening. Unconsciously, sometimes you don't even notice it. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. When we start repeating Bhagavan's Nama, our attraction for him also grows. Slowly the attraction is growing. Now, purification is happening as a next step. The more we are purified, greater is our attraction for him. The greater the purification, the Bhagavan starts to reveal himself to us. He starts to reveal himself to us, and when he reveals himself to us, our love for him, our attraction for him grows exponentially. Our love for him becomes boundless, and that is how we get in a state of ceaseless connection with Bhagavan. That is a stage of supreme bhakti where we experience Bhagavan every instant of our life and living. So therefore, Japa is so very important. So we see several sadhanas: prarthana, stavana, japa, dhyana, shravana, stotra, kirtana. Now these are all recommended to us by our shastras. Now what we need to understand: prarthana is praying, dhyana is meditating, stavana is essentially praising, extolling praises of Bhagavan, which is nothing but chanting. Kirtana, singing, shravana, listening. Now, there is one thing which is common to all of these practices. What is that one thing which is common? Underlying all this are prescribed for only one thing: constant contemplation, remembrance of Krishna. Because all of this, without remembrance of Krishna, is of no use. I can keep doing japa and I keep thinking of my work, it is of no use. If I keep singing a bhajan and I'm thinking of something else, it is of no use. So, all of these practices are primary. Also, we say dhyana. Most of us do dhyana. Instead of Krishna dhyana, we do Vishaya dhyana. Dhyana on everything in the world. That dhyana is also of no use. No, we are all very, very good in dhyana. We keep very focusedly meditating on money, focusedly meditating on people, focusedly meditating not on people, on our enemies who occupy a lot of space in our minds. So that dhyana is happening. It's only that we have to redirect that to Krishna. Now, underlying all these practices, what is the underlying requirement? Remembrance, loving remembrance of Krishna, constant contemplation. When we pray, a prayer is nothing but talking to Krishna. In prayer, we are talking to him. In dhyana, in meditation, we are listening to him. Two fundamental difference. In prayer, we are talking to him. Whereas, when it comes to dhyana, we are listening to him. In prayer, we basically expressing our desires to Krishna. Whereas in dhyana, we are actually controlling the mind. We are stilling the mind. We are making the mind desireless. And by completely making the mind desireless of the world, we are connecting with him with only one desire for Krishna, staying connected with him. That's the fundamental difference between prayer and meditation, dhyana. Now, chanting is something very interesting. Stavana, which is what Bhishma is recommending. Now, japa is a silent repetition, whereas chanting is not a silent repetition, is repeating Bhagavan's namas aloud. The beauty of chanting is it combines a prayer, a japa and a meditation all together. Because in chanting, we are speaking to Krishna. Now, when we say Krishna Nama aloud, Bhagavan Nama aloud, Bhagavan manifests in the form of sound. Shabda Brahman, Shastra is called. No, the sound that comes out is not an ordinary sound. Vishvam Vishnur Vashatkaraha. Every Nama manifests as a sound which is Shabda Brahman. Bhagavan himself manifests as sound. And therefore, By manifesting a sound, he enables us to connect with him, and in that process we are also listening to him. By chanting, we are not only speaking to him, we are also listening to him. So chanting combines prarthana and dhyana, bringing together. And it also helps us in terms of growing our love for him. Also, chanting is a great purifier. It brings in order within and order without. Order within our mind and also order outside as well. That is the reason why sthavana is so very profound. And that is the reason why Bhishmacharya emphasizes on sthavana in his answers a great deal. Now, if we see, Yudhistira has asked 6 questions. Now, question 1 to 6, there is one order with which Yudhistira asks. But interestingly, Bhishma does not give the answers in the same order. Bhishma gives his answers in a different order. Now, Bhishma's answers are following a different pattern. Yudhistira started with Tattva, Purusartha, then Hita, and he divided Hita into Siddhopaya, Sadhyopaya, Salambanopaya. Kim japan muchyate jantuh janma samsara bandhana. That was 6th question of Yudhistira, where Kim japan muchyate jantuh. What kind of a japa should I do? So that is, japa is salambanopaya. Salambana means support. Upaya means japa is taking the support of something. What support should I take? That is the question Yudhishthira has. Kim japan muchyate jantuh janma samsara bandhana. Jagat prabhum devadevam anantam purushottamam stuman nama sahasranama purushaha satatottitaha. Look, Bhishma now starts to give his answers. The first question he answers, the answer is to question number 6. Kim japan muchyate jantuh janma samsara bandhanat. What kind of a japa should I do? So, the japa that needs to be done should be done on who? Who should be the subject? Who should be the object of the japa? Is the question. Bhishma starts his glorious answer. Jagat prabhum devadevam anantam purushottamam stuman nama sahasranama purushaha satatottitaha. Purushaha satata uttitaha. Uttitaha, exalted state. Purushaha satata uttitaha. By engaging in the japa of Jagat Prabhu, Devadevam, Anantam, Purushottamam. He uses 4 namas, 4 adjectives for Bhagavan, and says, by engaging in japa on that Jagat Prabhu, on that Devadevam, on that Purushottamam, one reaches an exalted state, he says. Exalted state is liberation from samsara. Who is the Jagat Prabhu? Why is he Jagat Prabhu? The very Nama Jagat Prabhu means he is the master of Jagat. So therefore there is no question to be asked. Why should I submit myself to him? The answer is there, self-evident. I will submit to my master. No, we are all slaves, whether we like it or not. We are slaves of this world. We are slaves of our desires. But the moment we become slaves of the only master, Krishna, that is when progress happens for us. Why we need to submit and surrender to him? Because he is the master. Jagat Prabhum, Deva Devam, Pashyami Devam, Sabadeva Deve, Sarvamstata Bhuta Vishesa Sangan, Brahmana Meecham Kabalasarastam, Vishimscha Sarvan Uragamscha Divyan. Explaining the Vishwarupa that he sees, Arjuna is in awe. He has horripilations all over the body looking at Krishna's Vishwarupa. He says, Pashyami Devam Savadeva Dehe Sarvams Tatha Bhuta Vishesha Sangha. He says, hey Krishna, I see every Devata in your body. You seem to be unifying all the Devatas in that one glorious form of yours of Vishwarupa. Now I understand, you are the Deva Deva. Hey Bhagavan, You are that one supreme being. Every deity, every part is a manifestation of that one supreme being. And he is Jagat Prabhu Devadevam Anantam. Ananta, what a wonderful nama of Bhagavan. Desha Kala Vastu Parischedarahitam Swarupam Anantam. One who is not conditioned, constrained by Desha Kala Vastu. Desha, place, Kala, time, Vastu, another entity. He is not constrained by any of this. That is why he is Ananta, infinite. He is infinitely compassionate. He is infinitely auspicious. He is infinitely beautiful. He is infinitely blissful. He is infinitely infinite. He is Ananta. Jagat Prabhum Devadevam Anantam Purushottamam. Bhagavan is Purushottamam. Uttama Purushaspanyah Paramatmeti Udahritah Yo Lokatrayamavishya Vibhatti Avyaya Ishvaraha. Who is that Uttama Purusha? Who is that Purushottama? Krishna in the Hita gives us a brilliant response on who is that Purushottama, who is distinct and different from every other entity that we can think of, who pervades and permeates every other entity, and he is also transcendental and immanent at the same time, with a glorious form. Therefore, he is that Purushottama. That Purushottama, why he is Purushottama, Uttama Purusha? Puru Sanoti iti Purushaha. One who keeps giving all the time. Whether we realize it or not, Bhagavan keeps giving us without even asking. We think we have to go and ask him. We have a long list of ask, but we don't realize that he actually keeps giving us even without asking, giving more than what we need. That is his compassion. Purusanoti iti Purushaha. Puhu Puraha Avishat Tasmat Purushaha. He pervades and permeates every entity in this universe. That is why he is Purushaha. Purnadvai Purushaha. He is Kalyana Guna Purna. He is endowed with infinite auspicious qualities. That is why we can always experience him and experience that bliss. So every nama of Vishnusahasranamam gives us a guna of Bhagavan. And it is through nama, his guna and his rupa can be experienced. Therefore, he is Jagat Prabhu, he is Devadevam, he is Anantam, he is Purushottam. Stuvan nama sahasrena Purushaha satatottitaha. Stuvan. Here the answer, the first Stuvan comes. We keep seeing how Bhishma keeps stressing on Stavanam, chanting. He says, one should constantly engage in praising that Jagat Prabhu. Only then one can reach that exalted state. So thus, the first part of the sixth is answering the sixth question on Salambanopaya, Japa. On how we should do Japa. Bhishmacharya's answer is simple. Just take Bhagavan Nama of that Jagat Prabhu, of that Purushottama. Keep constantly repeating it. How simple it is. There is no need to do any Ashtanga Yoga in order to attain that exalted state. Tamevacha archayan nityam bhaktya purushamavvyayam dhyayan stuvan namasyamscha yajamanas tamevacha. Now, this is an answer to alaghu upaya sadhya siddhopaya, which means alaghu means not easy. Why it is not easy here, this upaya? Dhyayan stuvan namasyamscha. Bhishma is saying one must employ one's mind, body and speech. Immediately we say that's very difficult for us. Exactly. Bhishma also knows this. This is one possible way. We don't need to be worried because there is another way which is laghu upaya sadhya siddhopaya. This is alaghu badhya siddhopaya. Laghu means easy, alaghu means difficult. It is difficult. Dhyayan stuvan namasyamscha. Dhyayan, use your mind. Stuvan, use your tongue. Namasyamscha, use your body. Use all the faculties that have been provided to us to do what? To worship. Tamevacha archayan nityam. This is an answer to kamarchantaha. Question number 4. Kamarchantaha. Who should I worship? He says tamevacha, tameva. You should worship that Jagat Prabhum, that Devadevam, that Anantam, that Purushottamam. Tameva cha archayan nityam bhaktya purushamavyayam dhyayan stuvan namasyamscha yajamanas tameva cha. So he's already given two answers to question number 6 and question number 4. Kamarchantaha. Tameva charchayan nityam bhaktya purushamavyayam dhyayan stuvan namasyamscha yajamanas tameva cha. Anadinidanam Vishnum sarvaloka maheshwaram lokadhyaksham stuvan nityam sarvadukkadigo bhaved brahmanyam sarvadharmagyam lokanam kirtivardhanam lokanatham mahadbhutam. Now here the second part is essentially explaining the first part, which is Anadi Nidanam Vishnum sarvaloka maheshwaram lokadhyaksham stuvan nityam. This is the answer to question number 3. What is the question number 3? Stuvantahkam. Whom should I resort to? Whom should I invoke? Whose glories should I sing? The chanting should be on whose nama? Anadi Nidanam. Anadi Nidhanam. Anadi, one who is without a beginning. Nidanam, one who is without an end. Anadi Nidanam Vishnu. Sarvaloka Maheshwara. Sarvaloka Maheshwara, the ruler of all the lokas. Lokadhyaksham, he is Adhyaksha of the loka. Adhyaksha, the one who governs the workings. Lokadhyaksham stuvan nityam sarvadukkadigo bhaved. Brahmanyam, he is Brahmanyam, the protector of the Vedas, the protector of Brahma. Brahmanyam sarvadharmagyam, sarvadharmagyam, the knower of all dharma. He is the one who gives the laws, he is the lawmaker. The laws that govern the workings of the universe. Brahmanyam Saradharmagyam. Lokanam Kirtivardhanam. He is the one who enhances the Kirti of everyone in the Loka. The glory. How does he enhance? The highest glory is reaching his abode of Vaikuntha, which is Moksha. Therefore he is Moksha Pradata. Lokanam Kirtivardhanam. Lokanadam Mahadbhutam. He is Mahadbhuta. He is the Parabrahman. Brihadbhuta Bhavodbhavam. Everything else emanates from him. So therefore, he answers the question, Stuvantaha, come. Who should I invoke? On who should I call? If I have to chant, who should be the subject and object of chanting? Bhishma clearly answers, chant the glorious namas of that Bhagavan. Anadinidanam Vishnu. That Narayana, his glorious namas are to be constantly chanted. Now we have answers to 3 questions. The 3 questions, question number 6, question number 4, question number 3. Yeshame saradharmanam dharmaha adhikatamo mataha yadbhaktya pundarikaksham stavairachet narasada. This is answer to question number 5. What was Yudhistira's question number 5? Hey Bhishma, what is my dharma? Ko dharma saradharmanam bhavataha paramo mataha kinchapan. Ko dharma saradharmanam bhavataha paramo mataha. What is that supreme dharma? What is my duty? This is Yudhistira's question. Bhishma beautifully answers that. Hey Yudhistira, the supreme duty in one's life is very simple. He says, Yeshame sarva dharmana. Of all the dharmas, Yeshame sarva dharmana. Dharmaha adhikatamo mataha. Let me share with you what is that supreme dharma. He says, Yadbhaktya pundarikaksham stavairachet narasada. Stavairachet narasada. Essentially, to do bhakti to Bhagavan is my supreme duty. This is exactly the Sutta Puranika. In Naimisharanya, all the sages have assembled. All the sages have assembled in Naimisharanya, and they ask the same question to Sutta. This is the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. They ask, hey Sutta, what is that supreme duty? Sutta Puranika says, Savei Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshate Ahetuki Apratikata Yatatma Suprasidati. He says, let me tell you what is that supreme dharma. Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje. Bhakti to Adhokshaja is the supreme dharma. And he qualifies bhakti incidentally. Ahaituki apratihata, he says. Now, it is important. Why? What is ahaituki? Without any cause, without any reason, without asking for any reward. Bhakti to Bhagavan is not a business. You do this to me, I will do this to you. That bhakti is also there. But real bhakti is causeless bhakti, where one is seeking Bhagavan himself. Instead of seeking rewards, one seeks the reward giver. Ahaituki, apratihata. Constantly staying connected with him. Ceaseless contemplation. Experiencing him in everything that we do. In everything that we see. So that is the supreme bhakti. Now this is exactly what Bhishma is giving. But there is one important difference between what Sutta Puranika says and what Bhishma is giving. Bhishma is making it even easy for us. Sutta Puranika in his answer says, Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje, he says. Bhagavan, Narayana is called adhokshaja. One who is transcendent. One who cannot be grasped by your mind, by your senses. You are worried. If he is beyond my mind, beyond my senses, how do I do bhakti to him? Suta is a great rishi, so he easily says, do bhakti to that adhokshaja who is transcendent. Bhishma makes it easier for us. He says, Yesha me sarvadharmanam dharmaha adhikatomo mataha yadbhaktya pundarikaksham. Do bhakti to that pundarikaksha, the one who has divine lotus-like eyes, those enchanting eyes from where the nectar, elixir keeps pouring out, the magnetic eyes that mesmerize us. The moment we see his eyes, we cannot take our eyes off Bhagavan. No, he is Pundarikaksha. No, Shastras, while glorifying the form of Bhagavan, they always call him He Pundarikaksha. The one who has divine lotus-like eyes, from where, from those eyes, stream down love, grace towards us. And therefore Bhishma says, do not be worried. How do you do bhakti to him? He has a glorious form. His nama captures his form and his attribute. Visualize his form, internalize his form, and intensely love him. And in that process, you get elevated, Yudhistira. And this is the supreme dharma, he says. Yesha me sarvadharmanam dharmaha adhikatamo mataha yadbhaktya pundarikaksham stavairacche narasada paramam yo mahatteja paramam yo mahattava paramam yo mahadbrahma paramam parayanam. This is now the answer to the question number 2. Kimva ekam parayanam. What is that supreme goal? Of all the goals, what is that supreme goal in life? We also want to know. We seem to have so many goals. What is, if we have to list down one important goal, an overriding goal, what is that supreme goal? Bhishma says, Paramam yo mahatteja, paramam yo mahattava, paramam yo mahadbrahma, paramam parayana. That Parabrahma, he is the supreme goal. Paramam parayanam, the goal of all goals. When we start any journey, we need a starting point and we need an ending point. Even in our life's journey, in our spiritual journey, we need a starting point and we need an ending point. And depending on our conception of Bhagavan, conception of God, these starting point and ending point can differ. So we all have our own understanding of God. Unfortunately, we don't study him in our subjects. So you ask anybody, define God, we struggle. Whereas, thousands of years back, even a 6-year-old can stand up and define God. Because why? They are taught. The Vedas, the Upanishads teach. Now, that supreme, now our conception of God keeps evolving. In the beginning of our journey, he is a good support for us. Because we always need a higher power to support us. Some power which will give us what we lack. When we have something, we don't think of him. but we don't have something, we will call out to Him. And something which is beyond us, we need some power to help us. So in our conception of God, initially God is a reward giver. We ask, He gives. He does that job very well. He is giving all the time. We write the job description for Him. He has given a job description to us, but we don't follow it. But our job description we give to Him, He beautifully follows it. So in our concept, we start the journey as God being a reward giver, and we are so happy. But then what happens? As we evolve spiritually, as we start studying the Shastras, our understanding of God also changes. We start realizing that He not only provides us the resource that I need, He is also the source. He is the source of all the resources, and He is the very resource. And everything that I see, everything good I see, is nothing but a fragment of His manifestation. And therefore, I evolve from a state of hankering for good things given by God to a state where I realize the ultimate good thing is God Himself. Then my goals start shifting. From all kinds of worldly goals, my goal becomes Krishna. He becomes my supreme goal. Parayanam. Therefore, Bhishma says, He is that supreme goal. Immediately we may ask this question, if Krishna is my supreme goal, what happens to all my other goals? Do I need to sacrifice every other goal that I have? Luckily for us, our Shastras say no. Otherwise, nobody will have Krishna as their goal. Thankfully, Shastras say you can have whatever goals you want, whatever desires you want to fulfill in life, please go ahead, fulfill based on dharma. Desiring Krishna does not mean diversing the world. Very important to understand. If somebody comes and invites you a satsang, immediately say, oh, it's too early in our life to come to satsang. Wait. Satsang means some very serious people who are discussing some high philosophy and talking about moksha. So I am still not ready for moksha. I cannot sacrifice all. Unfortunately, we see worldly desires and the desire for the world maker is conflicting. They are complementary. Desire for Krishna can actually bring order and structure and help us prioritize our worldly desires. And when we have our ultimate goal of as Krishna, every other goal which is subservient to Krishna as the goal actually gets perfected. That is why Krishna says, Mahi sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa. Hey Arjuna, offer everything that you do as an offering to me, every act that you do. So therefore, Krishna is not just life's sole goal, he is life's whole goal. Whole, W-H-O-L-E. Every other goal can fit in that goal. No problem. This is the beauty. So therefore, through this clarification, Bhishma, Paramamyo Mahattejaha, Paramyo Mahattapaha, Paramyo Mahatbrahma, Paramamya Parayanam. He answers the question of what is that supreme goal? Why is the supreme goal? Pavitranam Pavitramyo Mangalanam Vishnamangala. He is the highest purifier. Bhagavan is the all pure for our all cure. Because samsara is like a hospital. Samsara is like a hospital. And what is the disease in this hospital? Misdirected desires. Impure desires. Now, what is an impure desire? What is an impure desire? The answer is very simple. Every desire that is not directed towards Krishna is impure desire. It's not complicated at all. So samsara, therefore, is a hospital where all of us are patients with misdirected desires as our disease. Bhakti, devotional service to Bhagavan, is the therapy which helps us get our desires directed towards Krishna. And when we get our direction right, we get liberated from this hospital after getting cured. Paramam, he is the all pure. Pavitranam pavitram yo mangalanam chamangala. He is all purifier. Just uttering his nama alone is enough once to purify us. Now what about uttering his 1,000 namas? What about uttering his 1,000 namas 1,000 times? What about uttering his 1,000 namas 1,000 times, 1,000 days? The possibilities are limitless. So this Bhishma makes it simple for us. Not difficult at all. He talks of difficult means, but yet gives us a very, very simple way to actually practice bhakti. Now he has answered 5 questions. Questions on Purusartha, questions on Hita. Again Hita, the sadhana, the means, the upaya, he answered salambanopaya, he answered sadhyopaya, he answered 2 types of siddhopaya. Alaghu upaya, sadhya siddhopaya, laghu upaya, sadhya siddhopaya. So 5 questions alone. To complete the 6th, the ultimate question. This was Yudhistira's first question. Kimekam devatam loke. Bhishma here makes a very profound declaration. This is very, very important declaration that Bhishma makes. Pavitranam pavitram yo mangalanam cha mangalam. Daivatam devatanam cha bhutanam yogyayapita. Bhutanam yo avyayapita. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame. Yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. Now, most of us would have chanted this. Most of us would have listened to this several times. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame. Yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. We can all chant this shloka together. All of us know this. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame. Yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. Why is this shloka so very profound? This is an answer to the question, who is God? If somebody asks you, who is God? This is the definition. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. So Bhishma takes the essence of all the Shastras and presents here in Vishnusahasranamam. This is coming straight out of the Upanishads. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhishamvishanti yat prajigyasasva yat brahmeti tat vijigyasasva tat brahmeti. How do I define that Parabrahman, that supreme being? The answer is he from whom everything emanates, he by which everything is supported, he into which everything enters. He is that Parabrahman. He is that Paramatma. He is that Narayana. He is that Krishna. Yudhistira is giving the same definition. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame. At the beginning of Srishti, everything emanated from him. The one became many. Everything emanated from him. He is the cause of all causes. Akila karana, jagat karana, nishkarana, adbhuta karana. Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame. Yasminscha pralayam yanti. Pralaya, the time of pralaya. Srishti and pralaya are cycles. Srishti happens, pralaya happens, it keeps going on and on and on. Yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. Once again at the time of pralaya, everything goes back to him. He is that Parabrahman. So therefore, Kimekam Daivatam Loke, what is that Tattva? Yatas sarvani bhutani bhavantyadi yugagame yasminscha pralayam yanti punareva yugakshaye. Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate Vishnur nama sahasraname shrunu pavaya. That loka pradhanasya, that Parabrahman, that Bhagavan Vishnu is that one supreme being. And what do I recommend to you, hey Yudhishthira? Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate Vishnu nama sahasram me shrunu. Very important. Shrunu. This is what happens. Discourse is coming to an end. People are a little bit when will it end? Are we running short of time? People think. Yudhistira is also thinking. Immediately Bhishma says, hey Bhishma, Shrunu, don't lose concentration. So I also have to say, hey Shrunu, a few more minutes, Shrunu. Because we are coming to a very important point. Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate Vishnurnaama sahasraname Shrunu papa vayapaham. I am going papa vayapaham. Liberation from all kinds of karma. That is the ultimate victory in life. This is the culmination of that glorious sixer. A sixer that takes us home. Answer to Purusartha, Hita, and now Tattva. Tasya loka pradhanasya jagannathasya bhupate Vishnurnaama sahasraname Shrunu papa vayapaham. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani mahatmanaha rihi pangitani tani vakshyami bhutaye. Hey Yudhistira, I am going to now cull out the gems from all the Shastras. Now Bhishmacharya has boundless compassion for us. He knows we have no capability to go and dive deep into the Vedas and the Upanishads and all the Shastras and cull out gems. So on our behalf, he says, I will cull out the gems. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani. Only vikhyatani, only popular. Only 1,000 names you may think. No. Vikhyatani, these are the popular 1,000 names. There are several other names for Bhagavan. Now, namani gaunani, this is the beauty. Every nama, now Bhagavan's glories is like an ocean. Bhagavan is an ocean. Ocean full of namas. Every nama is an ocean. We can dive into one nama and can stay there for a lifetime. We can stay for one lifetime, one nama is enough. We can take up Vishwam and possibly we can spend several years relishing the nama Vishwam. No, I'm not exaggerating. That is the profundity of every nama of Bhagavan. Because every nama, within every nama is embedded Bhagavan's Rupa, Swarupa, Guna, Vibhuti, Aishwarya. Bhishma, therefore, we can now understand how compassionate Bhishma was to have done this exercise for us. By diving into the Shastras, he said, Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani mahatmanaha rishibhi parigitani. The namas that were sung by rishis. Now I am capturing all of them, culling out all of them. Rishibhi parigitani tani vakshyami bhutaye. I am now going to speak out, hey Yudhistira. Why? For the sake of your good. For the sake of the good of humanity. Thus, Bhishma's sixer is the advent of the glorious Vishnusahasranamam. We have to be in gratitude to Bhishmacharya, who, in spite of being on a deathbed, we have to go back thousands of years. We have to go back to Kurukshetra and visualize that scene to understand how profound Vishnusahasranama is. On the deathbed, before exiting this planet, he is so very compassionate that he wants to still contribute. Bhishma's life is a life of contribution. And he contributed right at the time of birth. He ended up contributing right at the time of death. Therefore, let us prostrate mentally to Bhishmacharya. Wash his feet with tears of joy, tears of love. But for him, the treasury of 1,000 names possibly would not have been available to us. Let us also prostrate to Yudhistira. After all, he was the one who asked the 6 questions. If he wouldn't have asked, the wisdom of Bhishma would have been lost. That Dharmaraja, that Dharmagyaha, that Yudhistira, let us prostrate to him and thank him. We must thank Vaishampayana, who recounted everything as it happened later to Janamejaya. Most importantly, we should thank Vyasa Bhagavaya, Vyasaya, Vishnu Rupaya, Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave, Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye, Vasisthaya. If we have to be forever indebted to one family, simple. If we have to be indebted, it is this family of Vyasa. Vyasam Vasishtanaktaram Shakte Potramakalmasham Parasharatmajam Mande Shukathatam Tapodi. Sam Krishna.